Hey everybody, Sam Dog, the infamous 253, and Brendon Nelson back at you again to talk about our preview and keys for Seahawks versus Rams 2020 down in SoFi Stadium. Brendon, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Sam. Thank you for having me back on.
Well, it was a pretty tough one last week just with the way our defense was playing. With the only positive being the pass rush getting the 7 sacks, but other than that, the secondary still playing like crap. Of course, Quentin Dunbar, being hurt and all that stuff too, which it was obvious. You saw the way how he was playing that he was playing hurt.
Yeah, absolutely. He probably shouldn't have been out there, but he felt he had to be because Shaq was out and Amadi was out, and it was
Yeah.
just one of those things.
Yeah, and we don't know yet if we're going to be getting Carson back still. It's not looking too good with not having that running game, and then of course just they came out firing right out the gate. We had no answer for them until later. But Wilson turning the ball over 4 times. With that defense getting so much pressure on us, which my first key is going to be this. Obviously, the first key is if we want to beat the Rams, is we're going to have to give Wilson a lot better protection this game. Protect them from Aaron Donald and not let Aaron Donald, control this game on their defensive side. Two, we're going to have to unleash hell and try to hope for our pass rush and get pressure on Jared Goff and make him uncomfortable in the pocket. And I hope that the film that the Seahawks were studying this week was the film from when Miami did what they did to them. So we can just do that first thing that I mentioned, then do the second thing, which is get pressure on Jared Goff, make him throw interceptions and get sacks and that. Then we will win this game. If we don't do that, either that, let Aaron Donald have a field day, getting sacks on us, and then basically not get pressure on Goff and make him look like, one of the top quarterbacks in the league, then we'll lose the game. That's basically one of the things that me and my dad were talking about. What are your thoughts?
Well, I've been thinking about this game the last couple days, and I haven't been feeling very good about it. And we just recently learned who was going to play and who was maybe going to play and who's not going to play. And I'm just trying to figure out what a Seahawks win even looks like this week, because it doesn't look great that we're going to get any of our running backs back. And that was the main problem against Buffalo. It wasn't the offensive line. The offensive line played pretty well. It was the running backs not being able to pick up blitzes. And to a certain extent, you would even say Wilson not being able to point out things pre-snap and being able to get his team in the right position to pick up those blitzes. So to me, we're not getting our running backs back, and I seriously doubt the pre-snap abilities of this team has suddenly changed dramatically in the last week. So right away, I'm thinking if the Rams are smart, and we can reasonably say they're at least a somewhat smart team,
Yeah,
they
McVay
are
always has
going
good plans. McVay always
they
has
are
good plans.
going to look at what Buffalo did to us, and they're going to copy that playbook, because Buffalo came in with a game plan that was specifically geared to beat the Seahawks, and they most certainly did. So if the Rams are looking at that, I would expect to see them blitz a lot. And I don't know if this Seattle team is currently well enough equipped to deal with it, because Carson is questionable, Hyde is questionable. We can all cross our fingers, but we know neither guy practiced this week.
Yeah.
So right away, my first thought is, okay, we're going into this game against a Rams defense that is decent. They played pretty well so far this year. Nothing amazing, but they've turned in a lot of good performances. And we're one-dimensional like we were last week against Buffalo, and Buffalo knew that, and that's one of the main reasons why we had the problems that we did. They knew we weren't going to be able to run the ball well. They knew we were going to come out firing through the passing game, and that's why things went so bad for us, in my opinion. And
Yeah.
now we don't even have Ethan Posick, which this is a horrible week to lose Ethan Posick, by the way.
Yeah.
So that's really unfortunate, because Posick was maybe the biggest surprise, the biggest happy surprise on this team.
He was.
So for me personally, offensively, I'm trying to think of a way the Seahawks win this game, just in my head, envisioning what it might look like. And I genuinely don't know, short of Wilson just playing perfect. And he's done it before. He
Yeah.
did it last year when we beat the Rams
30 to
in
29.
Seattle. Yeah, he did it last year. He did it against Tampa Bay last year.
Yeah.
But it's a lot to ask. And in a weird way, I think the template for us beating the Rams this week, and I don't know if we can follow this template, is to do what the Dolphins did, which
Yeah.
is win the game with defense, get two non-offensive touchdowns, And basically, the offense doesn't really have to do all that much. The Dolphins won that game with 150 yards of offense, not
Yeah,
even.
the Rams dominated every other statistic of the game except the most important stat, which is the scoreboard. That's what I remember my dad and I talking about that, and I thought it was crazy just the way it happened. But now only with that, with our main advantage being the passing attack, if we're able to get guys open in that, because we got to still face Jalen Ramsey in that Rams secondary, which they also have Taylor Rapp. I don't know if Rapp's a starter, but I know there's Jalen Ramsey, and then who else is there in that secondary? I can't really think of
Yeah,
all the
Taylor
names.
Rapp is one of them. He's a starter. He's playing pretty well for them, I think. So
Then there's
yeah,
Jalen
Taylor
Ramsey.
Rapp, obviously still very sad to see him. Still very sad to see him as a Ram and not a Seahawk after watching what he did in college football. I think they still have Troy Hill and John
That's
Johnson,
what I
and
was thinking of, Troy Hill.
yeah. So this Rams defense, they gave up 35 to Buffalo. But other than that, they've had a pretty decent season. They gave up 24 to the Niners, and the Niners were only moderately healthy at that point.
And then
So
they gave up 28 to the Dolphins.
yeah, 28 to the Dolphins, but two of those touchdowns were non-offensive. So I
Yes.
don't even care about that. Their defense has played really well this year. So I don't know what our offense can do. I really don't. I'm looking at this game and I'm saying, okay, we have an elite QB, we have good receivers. So hopefully something really good happens there. But schematically, I don't know what we do because
Me neither.
we're missing our center and one of our best offensive linemen against one of the best defensive players in the league in Aaron Donald.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't get our running backs back, it looks like, so we can't count on them to balance the offense out at all. We may very well be taking the field tomorrow with a team that the opposing sideline will know only really has one trick up our sleeves, which is to drop back and throw and pass.
Yeah.
And we're doing it without guys we necessarily trust to be able to pick up blitzes. So
Yeah.
it's going to be very tough. It's going to be frustrating at some points.
Yep.
This team right now, they're not front runners, but we got to get behind them. We got to find a way to get behind them.
Yeah. And then of course defensively, I was happy with the impact that Carlos Dunlap had on his first game, getting a sack in his first game too. And then of course Jamal Adams recording the sack when he came back. How much are we going to unleash Jamal Adams on Jared Goff or Carlos Dunlap for this game if we want to try to have any chance? Of getting pressure. How much blitzing are we going to see of Jamal Adams to try to, to try to get pressure and intimidate Jared Goff?
Yeah, that's how we win this game. Because as much pressure as we got on Josh Allen, we got a good amount of pressure on him, 7 sacks, like you said. We never forced him to turn the ball over, and that's what ended up killing us. If we had
Yeah.
managed to force even one turnover, who knows how that game flips. Getting to Josh Allen 7 times and getting him on the ground, but not even forcing a single fumble is definitely a frustrating thing because I know of Josh Allen as being occasionally careless with the football. We see it from him all the time. So the good news is Jared Goff is probably even more rattled by getting pressured than not only Josh Allen, but pretty much any other QB in the league. So the key to this week will be to blitz a healthy amount, get pressure on Goff because we all know what Goff does when you don't get pressure on him. We saw it last year
Yeah.
in that game in LA. So, yeah, I do think there will be a lot of blitzing. And the key to me is going to be we need to get the ball. We need to take the ball away when those blitzes are successful because a sack is great, but we saw it against the Bills. We would have a big sack and force 2nd and 26, and then the Bills would just pick up 2nd and 26
Yeah.
because this defense right now is not equipped to consistently stop anybody. And we're not going to have Shaq. We're not going to have Dunbar. KJ Wright looks like he's going to play, but it's not a guarantee right now. We have some issues on this defense, and a couple of them may get resolved eventually. I'm not super optimistic that a lot of them will get resolved, but the one thing this defense seems like they can do right now is get pressure with the blitz. They have a lot of guys who were effective on the blitz on Sunday. They have some guys who were able to get pressure on the front four as well.
Yeah.
So the key to me is do what the Dolphins did, which is force some turnovers and cash in on it.
Yep.
That's how we win this game. This is not a game, in my opinion, where we can just say, okay, the offense needs to go out there and drop 45 for us to win.
Yeah, and we already
This is a
know.
game. Yeah, go ahead.
Will the Rams still be able to have – because we know the Rams also got a good running game with their 3 running backs they have in Malcolm Brown, Darrell Henderson, and Cam Akers. And then my other concern was the last time, even in the game we won, is that they were burning us with Gerald Everett and Tyler Higbee. Those are the 2 tight ends because we know they can still get open. And then another thing that was frustrating me last week when we were doing those blitzes, that why wasn't any of our linebackers or anyone picking up the running backs for their dump-off passes where they got big chunk yards? It's like we got to be able to still shut down running backs when they try to get big chunk plays off of dump-off passes. And then, of course, we all know about Cooper Kupp. We all know about Robert Woods. We all know about Josh Reynolds, the receiving corps. It's like we know Goff still has weapons. It's just, how are we going to be able to neutralize that? It's like we got to be able to neutralize that.
If the Rams are smart, they're not going to run the ball at all in this game. They're going to do what Buffalo did. And any team that's smart will do what Buffalo did against us until we show we can stop it.
Yeah.
The Buffalo came in there and just said, we're not even going to bother trying to run the ball. We're not even going to pretend that we're going to run the ball. And you saw how well that worked. So to me, I'm looking for the Rams to do something very similar. I expect them to do a lot of passing. I expect them to do a lot of things to try to move the pocket around for Goff. And if we can't get pressure on him, then we are going to see what we saw against Buffalo, because we don't have our corners right now. And even when our corners play, it's not really going that well. That's the thing. People talk about Shaq and Dunbar. Both those guys have played some very bad games already this year. So
they've gotten burnt really bad. I mean, especially Dunbar and against, Stephon Diggs, and Stephon Diggs had a field day against us, and Dunbar was just getting burned. And we all knew he was playing. None of us, I mean, there were signs that he was actually playing injured. And then, of course, I mean, I know people were actually, been complaining about still, obviously a lot of people still complaining about Trey Flowers. I mean, Trey Flowers actually played one of his better games that game, which was a surprise to even me. But, I mean, we just got to, play. I think we got to play more man coverage other than zone. I mean, I'm tired of zone and playing 10 to 5 yards off of the receivers. It's like, can we at least, get a new scheme and do a lot more man coverage? Like, because, the Rams play a lot of man coverage in their secondary too.
yeah, well, they have the personnel that's a little more equipped for it. But there's one thing with this game that it's not about any stat. It's not about any scheme. It's just, last week, we played probably the worst defensive game of Pete Carroll's career here in Seattle. We gave up more points than we ever have, at least.
Yeah.
44 points. So
the most prior to that was 42 against the Rams in 2017 when we got blown out.
Yeah. So for me, when I'm looking at this game, what I'm thinking is, okay, where's your pride going to come from? Where is your just the understanding that, wow, we played really, really bad last week? There should be something inside these guys that wakes up, that says we need to come out and overcome our talent deficit, overcome some of the players we don't have, overcome some of the schematic flaws in this defense, and just put a great game out there. So there is that human element where this team just performed as miserably as you can perform. If they don't wake up and at least do something on defense this week that gives us a chance to win, even if we don't win, just play well enough to do something to give us a chance to win, then you have to start questioning the mentality of these players and start to wonder, have they just given up? Because the embarrassment of the defensive performance last week against Buffalo should awaken something in these guys.
Yeah, I mean, they better be coming into this game pissed after the way they lost to Buffalo. I would be going to this game pissed. And then another thing me and my dad talked about, I mean, other than winning the rest of our non-conference games, and that is, bottom line, these next 2 games, it comes down to these next 2 games. If we want any hope of winning the division, we have to win these next 2 games, beat LA, try to beat Arizona if we want any hopes of winning the division. Split with Arizona, maybe if we could beat the Rams and split with Arizona, in these next 2 games, because, it'll be our second game against the Cardinals on Thursday night, and then win out the rest of our non-conference game and at least go 4-2 in the division, which I know I've mentioned that a lot on some of your streams. If we can go 4-2 in the division, winning these next 2 games in a row, I think it gives us a pretty good chance to, win the division. Of course, along with winning the rest of our non-division and conference
well,
games.
the thing to remember with these Seahawks is they have a very easy schedule in November and even part of December. Yeah. So there's an opportunity for this team to get on a roll even without playing over the top good and coming from behind later on if we need be, because we still have our games against the Giants, the Jets, the football team. Even the Eagles, I still don't think are very good. So there is an opportunity for this team to fall behind a little bit here, which is a distinct possibility. This is an uphill battle this week in LA. There's no doubt about it in my mind. So I'm not discounting anything if this game doesn't go our way. I'm really not. The other teams in this division have a much tougher road ahead of them than us. The Rams, most of their wins this year have come against the NFC East, which we know is the worst division in football. They still have to play some of the better teams that they're going to play this year. They still have to get wins against some of the more in some of the tougher games that we as Seattle we've already gotten out of the way.
Hey, after us, they have to take on Tom Brady in Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay is going to be tough. The 49ers, we're already kind of discounting the 49ers. We know they're not going to be in it. They have too many injuries. You can kind of stick a fork in them, but they have a tough game coming up against Green Bay.
49ers already played Green Bay.
Oh, I'm sorry, New Orleans.
New Orleans. Yeah.
So, yeah, it's going to be – there's definitely a scenario where we fall behind in the division a little bit at this point. I think the most likely scenario is we need to make sure we beat Arizona in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
And then we need to make sure we get LA later this season when we play them in December. If we do those two things, I'm not overly concerned.
If we get them early, it would help, though. If we get them both early, it would help.
Yeah, but again,
if we lose to Buffalo, if we lose to LA, and then if Arizona beats Buffalo, then we would go directly to third place. But if we win and Arizona loses to Buffalo, and then we would still obviously keep first place with a chance to try to if we were able to split with Arizona to try to keep first place and a better chance of winning the division.
Yeah, I don't play that game. I don't play if the season ended today, we would be here or there, because the season doesn't end today.
Yeah.
There are a lot more games coming, but to me, if you look at our schedule, you look at the other teams in the division, their schedule, we have a much easier road to get to the playoffs, to maybe even to win the division as well. So, look, all I can say about this game is that you're going to have to do some of the things Miami did, because Miami won that game by 2 scores, even though they did not do anything on offense. So we're looking at this maligned defense, or if you're me, you're looking at this much maligned Seattle defense, and you're saying they have to do something. We cannot win this game if the defense plays like they did against Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
And for my money, I'll say this Seahawks team under Pete Carroll, whatever they haven't done great in, when they are expected to lose or get blown out, or they're just expected to get waxed, they always seem to show up. They get blown out sometimes. It's happened. Yeah. But in the games where I have gone into the game kind of expecting bad things to happen, we've generally seen good performance. I can remember in 2016, we played the Patriots, and I kind of went into that game thinking, well, okay, how much are we going to lose by? I don't feel good about this game. We won that game.
Yeah, we won by 7 points.
Yeah. The next year we played the Eagles, the year the Eagles won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, we blew them out.
I went into that game thinking, well, okay, how much are we going to lose by? Didn't happen. So this team has a way of showing up when you least expect it. So I do expect the team to show up, because that's just what they've done over the last 10 years. But winning will be tough. We're going to need to take the ball away on defense, which is something we didn't do against Buffalo, and you kind of need Wilson to just be perfect. And he's done it before. So that's what I can say about this game. I know it's kind of the same stuff we say every week, but this week it's really important. We really have no margin for error in this game, because if you take a look at the corners that we're going to be throwing out there, it's not going to be fun. They're not going to hold up in coverage for very long. So, yeah, I'm interested to see how the team responds to the challenge.
Yeah, especially going up against – it's hard to play chess against Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah. I really wish we had Ethan Posick for this game.
Yeah, that's gonna be a pain in the ass. I was still really pissed at Dwayne Brown for not diving on that other fumble in the last game that we lost. But like I said, I'm over that one. I'm just ready for LA. It's just, we know it's gonna be a tough battle, but let's just hope for the best. Just gotta hope for the best. Knock on wood. I hope that we get that dub. And did we pretty much get everything out that we needed to get?
Yeah, I think that's really all that can be said about this game. Bottom line is something needs to happen to these defensive players just as like human beings with pride.
Right.
There's nothing I can say about the talent on the field. There's nothing I can say about the scheme on the field because I think, especially in this game, both those things are very substandard. So you just need to beat the person in front of you, and that's the only thing that's going to produce good results in this game.
Yeah. All right. Well, me and Brendon about to sign out here. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button, ring the bell for notification. Also, don't forget to subscribe to Brendon Nelson. Catch his streams too, and Wagner Watch videos and other key things that we need to try to help hopefully win our games and what we need to do to get better. Anyway, catch you guys in the next one. If you ain't with it, you ain't infamous. And as always, go Seahawks.